Hello, everyone. This is Michael Govier from the Cinema 9 podcast, and you are listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 342, 2025, the year in pop culture. Hey, I'm Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. We're back with the start of a new season, season 11. Hard to believe, but we start things off every new year around here with a look back at the previous year in pop culture. This is not going to be any different this time. And so we're going to go back and take a look at everything that was the year 2025 in pop culture. But before we get to that, Derek, welcome back. We've been out for about a month. What pop culture have you been able to take in over that
Hey,
time?
Chris.
Hi.
It's great to be back. We had time off for the holidays, and then we had to take a couple of weeks off because you were under the weather, and then I was under the weather. But here we go, a new year. Let's start strong. So, what did I do over my? What did you do for your Christmas vacation?
Tell us, please.
Well, I took in a lot of pop culture. I won't spend an hour doing.
First of all, was Santa good to you, young man?
Oh, yeah. Santa is always good in my house. Good. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm just going to narrow it down to sort of the top ones that I feel I want to just mention. I'm going to start with a Christmas movie.
Oh, very
it's
cool.
called,
I like it.
It's called Anna and the Apocalypse. And let me tell you,
Sounds pretty Christmassy.
it is a Christmas movie about zombies at the end of the world, and it's a musical. And it was great.
And it's a Christmas movie?
And it's a Christmas movie. So if you have never heard of this and have never seen this,
like me,
you should put it into your calendar right now. Go to late November or early December of next year and write down Anna and the Apocalypse and put it on your watch list for next Christmas. You'll be glad you did. It's unlike anything you've seen before, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And believe me, I had no expectations. My buddy wanted me to watch it. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to suck. And no, it was quite good. I really enjoyed it. So I don't want to spoil more than that, but if you think a Christmas zombie apocalypse musical sounds good, then this is your movie.
Dig in.
So, yeah.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Then we had a chance to catch the new Jurassic Park movie called Jurassic World Rebirth with Scarlett Johansson is sort of the lead character.
Right.
I mean, if you've seen the last few with Chris Pratt, like you have a pretty good sense of where these movies are going these days. This one felt very much in that same vein. It was entertaining. It was, special effects dinosaurs, but you didn't really have as much dinosaurs on screen as they have done the last couple of movies, which I think actually helped it. I think, you look back to the original Jurassic Park, you look back to movies like Jaws, sometimes not seeing the monster for long stretches, but knowing it's there and sort of seeing other things going on that indicates that they're there makes it a stronger story. And I'm not saying this is anywhere near as good as the first Jurassic Park or Jaws, but I did enjoy this one a lot more than the last couple. It is by no means an A+ movie, but if you just want to be entertained and watch a movie where people interact with dinosaurs, probably in a way where the dinosaurs are trying to kill them, give it a watch. I watched it on Crave, so it was coming through on my streamer, so I liked it. It got terrible reviews, like awful reviews.
Made a ton of money, though.
It made a ton of money. Well, because I think a lot of people know that this is the kind of movie that they actually want to spend money to see in a theater because of the special effects, the dinosaurs and everything else. And kids like dinosaurs,
but
right?
Even
so
when you compare
it
to the last couple of Jurassic World movies, it like blew them all away, like in terms of money it made. And and I actually went to see that in the theater back in the summer. My youngest son wanted to go see it, so I took him, and we went to see that movie in the theater. So probably would have been better, I guess, there than on the streamers, but I still thought it kind of sucked.
Anyway, I enjoyed it. I mean, again, haters going to hate, and that's fine, but I knew exactly what I was signing up for, and I was pleasantly surprised. Then I had a chance to watch a couple of older movies. One that just happened to be on was a movie called The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey. I remember seeing this movie in the theater. It's from like the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's great. I hadn't seen this movie in like probably 15 or 20 years. I mean, the Kevin Spacey of it, you sort of like, it's not going to be your first pick, but it happened to just be coming on one day when I was starting my exercises. And I'm like, I always watch TV when I exercise. I'm like, hey, it's just starting. I ended up watching the whole movie. I forgot how good it was. I mean, Sam Jackson, that guy knows how to make a good movie. And he is the star. His name is the number one name. So I'm like, you're getting a Samuel L. Jackson action movie? I'm all in. Yeah, it's really good. If you haven't seen this one in a while and the Kevin Spacey of it isn't going to immediately turn you off, it was good. I enjoyed it. I forgot how good it was.
I love how your definition and my definition of an older movie are slightly different. You're like, oh man, this one's older, man. It's from the early 2000s. I'm like, man, that's new. Yeah. So,
and then another one that I, again, older for me, from the early 2000s is a movie called The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and, oh my God, and Ryan Gosling.
The Nice Guys.
Yeah. And it takes place in the 1970s.
All right.
So it's got the costumes and the cars and the fashion and the music. It's like right in the 70s.
Yeah.
And they basically, and they both play like ex-cops who are now PIs. And so it's that sort of, rough guy, we can get away with a lot of crap because we used to be police officers kind of movie.
Sure.
And again, I had sort of heard mixed reviews on it. I want to say it was written and directed, I think both, by Shane Black, who is the guy who wrote the original Lethal Weapon movie. So it sort of has that same kind of feel to it. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Again, very low expectations because I remember when it came out, a lot of people said it wasn't that good, but I thought it was great. Well, great maybe a strong word, but I really enjoyed it. Again, it showed up on the streamer one day and I was like, I haven't seen it. Let's give it a go. And I enjoyed it. And then finally, I had a chance to watch a brand new movie that just dropped on Amazon this week or last week. And it's called The Life of Chuck. And the number one star on it is Tom Hiddleston, who people know as Loki from the Marvel movies. And it's based on a Stephen King book. And this movie has an absolute all-star cast. Like from the number 1 to the number 12 on the call sheet are all people that could be the star of their own movie. And it's great. Again, I'm not always a huge fan of Stephen King, but it's not a horror movie. It's more in the vein of like the... like a Stand By Me kind of story where it's more about the human experience kind of thing. Really, really good. I really liked it. The cast was amazing. You really don't want to know a lot about it going into it. And that's part of the fun is trying to figure out like, what is this story about? It's called The Life of Chuck. That's all you really need to know. It's on Amazon. Give it a watch. It was great.
For me, some of the best Stephen King stuff is that sort of human interest stuff. Not the horror, so they tend to make
it's not a horror
too.
movie at all.
Oh, cool.
There's a little bit of suspense, but again, it's not like, again, I don't want to mislead anyone. This is a drama, capital D drama. And no, it was very, very good. Performances were great. Casting was great. The story, once you realize what was going on, really strong. Yeah, really good. It just dropped on Amazon. Life of Chuck. Check it out.
Very cool. All right. So for me, I wanted to mention something for Christmas. Around here, Santa brought us some new studio equipment. We obviously made the nice list this year, Derek. So with all this new studio gear that I got, I thought it was only appropriate for me to have some fun with it and, take it for a little bit of a test ride, before we got into the studio here. So let me set this up for you, Derek. Okay. So as you may know, I like old stuff. I know that's surprising. So I got thinking the other day, and I was thinking, TV kind of sucks now. It's all about streaming and binge watching. It didn't always used to be like that. Like I'm talking network shows. You had to wait a whole week to see a new episode, and there were familiar faces. It was a much simpler time. So I thought, what better way to both A, break in the new studio gear, and B, express my love of old TV than doing it through the joy of song.
Oh, boy.
So
I thought you said we made the nice list. Come on, man.
So I wrote a new song, Derek, and I'm going to debut it here, right here, now, today on the show. Our first show of the 11th season. I'm talking about old TV shows. I'm talking about old TV characters. I'm talking about when TV was awesome. I'm talking TV.
Well, cheers had Norm and Sammy. Crockett heated Miami, while Mary always had a lovely smile. Gilligan was shipwrecked on the Isle, but Farrah Fawcett had the best hairstyle. We're talking TV, from Dallas to Cincinnati. We're talking TV, Magnum and MacGyver, Mary Ann and Ginger turned us on. Kirk and Spock both traveled far beyond. We're talking Flo, Hawkeye, and the Fonz.
There it is. I'm talking TV.
That was great. Good job, buddy.
Oh, you actually liked it?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Oh, we got some applause. Yay. Normally, Derek, you don't like my songs. So I'm really glad that you like that one.
I thought I was getting a lump of coal, and instead I got some frankincense. So we're all good.
Wow. There you go. All right. So I also have this for you.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
Derek, did you hear about the car accident that involved a truckload of electric guitars?
No.
Luckily, it was just a fender bender.
Nope, I was wrong. There's that lump of coal.
Oh.
Winter is coming.
Dynamite.
Yo, Joe!
The plane.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
Kiss my grits.
Legend. Wait for it. Dairy.
No soup for you.
It's clobbering time.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Holy something, Batman.
What you talking about, Willis?
All right, so we're going to take a look back at 2025, the year in pop culture. Here's the thing that sort of sticks in my craw, as an old man. For me, when I think back to the 80s and the 90s, especially the 70s, 80s, and 90s for that matter, I think you can mention any year in those 3 decades, and I could immediately sort of tell you, something about the movies, the TV shows, the music of that particular year. Like, it just, they seem to be distinct. I think since the calendar turned over to the year 2000, and I understand it was, 25 years ago that happened. Hard to believe, because I'm still of the belief that 20 years ago was the 80s. I'm sorry. You'll never convince me otherwise. But since the calendar turned over of the year 2000, for me, a lot of it just kind of blends together. I'm sure I'm not alone. I've heard from other people that they have this same syndrome. So for me, it's really hard for me to distinguish between these different years. But looking back at 2025, we have a lot of stuff to cover. But is there, if you had to, and you're obviously better at this than I am, Derek, in terms of newer stuff. If you have to look back at 2025, what's the first thing that you would tell somebody in regard to the year in pop culture?
Oh, man.
It's so hard to do, right?
That's a loaded question. I mean, I'll be honest. This last year, I felt, so I'll come back to the answer to your question in a minute. When I was doing the homework for this show, I really felt that the past year in pop culture was very blah. For me. Now, again, we're becoming the old men on the porch that yell at kids to stay off their lawn. So
I've been that person for a while.
11
seasons
obviously
of the show.
Yeah. But things like new music, for example, I haven't really been in touch with new music for at least 5 years. I was really keeping up there in the 2010s, from 2010 to 2020. I was pretty up there on I was paying attention to what was top 40 radio. And then basically post-COVID, not even interested. So I have no idea what's going on in the world of music. And as far as television, like you said, it's all streaming now. Well, I don't have all the streamers. I got lots of them, but I don't have them all. So there's a whole swath of shows that I don't have any concept of because I don't have the streaming service that they're on. And I barely watch network TV, but honestly, the little bit that's there is kind of garbage anyway. The only thing that I really keep up on is movies. But even then, I find that I'm always a few months behind. Whereas, you know, when movies were more prominent coming out in the theater every single week, you'd have a couple of big releases. I was going to the movies every single week. Now, I think I went to the theater maybe 4 times last year, and I watched everything else at home on a streamer. And most of it, I waited until I had read reviews and heard the buzz. And like, it's rare now that I find, outside of like a big sort of event movie, like a Marvel movie or a launch of a franchise, or like, for example, coming up in a couple of months, there's a movie based on a book called Project Hail Mary. Well, I read the book. I love the book. And I think the movie's going to be huge and it's going to be great. So like, I'm looking forward to seeing that in the theater. But like, I was looking at the list of all the movies that are nominated for the Golden Globes, which are coming up in the next week. I don't even heard of half of these friggin' movies. And I'm reading the reviews. It's like starring people you've never heard of. I'm like, these are today's stars. Okay, I'm really falling out of touch. And I just found 2025 really felt like that from a pop culture point of view. So to answer your question, long way around, what stood out to me? Nothing. Nothing really jumped out at me on first glance. But now that I've, you know, had a second to think about it while I've been stalling, I'm going to say the movie Sinners is definitely a huge high point in pop culture for me and for a lot of people over the past year. Have you seen Sinners?
I have not, but you have talked about it before. I remember last year you had mentioned you really liked it. You also mentioned Weapons, if I remember correctly, as one that you liked. Isn't that was another one?
I did. Yeah. Yep.
If we look back at the year in movies, I'm glad that you started there, because let's just take a look there. Because whenever we do our podcast, I always like to talk about the box office. Do you have any guesses as to what was the king of the box office in 2025?
I mean, I'm gonna take a guess here. I looked at the list of like popular movies, but I don't think it was ranked by dollars and cents. I'm gonna think that if not number one in the top 5's got to be the new Avatar movie, and probably the Wizard of Oz one, the Wicked for the whatever part 2 of the Wicked movie was, the Good Wicked or something.
Not exactly. Okay, so the number 1 film of 2025 was actually a Minecraft movie. It made $423 million.
Yeah,
Lilo and Stitch was number 2. I thought that was an animated film from like the 80s. God knows.
They remade it with live people because that's what you do these days.
Number 3 was Superman. Again, sorry, thought that came out in 1978. What the hell do I know? Number 4 was the movie you mentioned at the top, Jurassic World Rebirth was number 4. And rounding out the top 5 was Zootopia 2. And then rounding out the top 10, number 6 was Wicked for Good. So there you go.
Oh, there it is.
Sinners was number 7.
Yeah, it was really good.
The Fantastic Four First Steps was 8. How to Train Your Dragon, again, I thought that was an older one. It was 9.
Which, again, they turned into a live action movie. Yeah.
And then number 10 was Avatar, Fire and Ash. So,
but I imagine that Avatar movie is going to keep generating money here over the next couple of months. Like it'll probably be in the top 10 or top 20 of next year's movies.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, because it only came out in like, December 19th, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it made a ton of money because that's what they do. So other movies that are on the list, I went down the list and I was like, what else made,
Wasn't there Mission Impossible on there this year?
No. So here's some other ones that stood out to me.
Okay.
Freakier Friday, Snow White, Tron Ares, The Naked Gun, Karate Kid Legends, Nosferatu, The Running Man, and Anaconda. Derek, sounds like Hollywood is as original as always.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jeez, man. I don't know, man.
But in all fairness, hold on.
Yeah.
The last one on your list, Anaconda, my understanding of that one is it is a parody satire of the original. Like they basically are making fun of movies that are remade and like that are like it's a whole joke within a joke.
Well, that's fine, but it's still based on a movie from the 90s. Like it's still not original. So I don't know. It just drives me crazy. I remember my kids talking a lot about this K-pop thing, and I looked it up because they made a movie called K-pop Demon Hunters, and it only did 22 million, finished in 71st place at the box.
Yeah, it was the number one streaming movie of the year.
Sorry. It was released on Netflix. Yeah. So it had a limited release in the summer. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so I got that.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I think like for movies, it just was another sort of unforgettable year. So I have I put together, because again, I'm the old man. I don't know all this stuff. I'm going to put together some sort of hot take questions.
Geez.
One question.
I don't know the rest want to answer this, but okay.
But I want to talk about this. I think we should have a conversation. Are we trapped in an era of sort of unnecessary 3-hour movies? Because it feels like it. It seems like a lot of these sort of big splashy movies have unbelievably long run times. So I took a look at some of the major movies from last year. Avatar, Fire and Ash, we mentioned. 3 hours and 15 minutes. I mean, give me a friggin' break.
I heard that's cut down from 4 hours was the original cut.
God. And it's like, what, the third movie in the series? Like, I mean, come on. Yeah. The problem I have with the Avatar movies, even with the first one, I know it made all this money and everything. When I think about it, when I think about Avatar, because I saw it, because we watch it for the podcast.
Yeah.
When I think about Avatar, like, I don't think I can even, like, really tell you, like, a major character's name or, like, some of the major things that even happen in it. Yeah. So it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to get my head around the fact that such a successful movie with like all this money at the box office and like it spawns all these sequels is kind of forgettable at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. It seems weird to me. But anyway, going back to these run times, I was looking at these. Mission Impossible, the one you mentioned, The Final Reckoning, 2 hours, 51 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was almost 3 hours. Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson had a movie called One Battle After Another with Leonardo.
Oh, I watched that. I'll talk about that one next week. Yeah.
2 hours, 41 minutes. F1, the movie. You mentioned that one a couple weeks ago.
I saw it. It was great.
Yeah. 2 hours and 35 minutes. Frankenstein. That's Guillermo del Toro's take on
that's Frankenstein.
Sorry, yes. 2 hours and 29 minutes. Wicked for Good, which you mentioned, 2 hours, 17 minutes. And then that Jurassic World movie that we watched was over 2 hours, 2 hours and 13 minutes. So it's just like, I don't know. It just seemed like a long run. Movies should be like an hour and a half, shouldn't they? Isn't that what it used to be?
Well, I think what we're seeing now is the movies that are an hour and a half are going directly to the streamers. Movies, my belief, my understanding, based on what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, is if the studios are going to greenlight a movie to go to the theater, they want you to feel like you're getting a theater experience, and they want you to be in there for that longer movie. They want to give the creative process behind the movie the freedom to make a longer story. Not long enough that it should have really been an 8-episode Netflix, but long enough that you don't just feel, oh, well, that could have easily been a streamer. I didn't need to come to the theater to see it. So, I mean, that's my take on that.
Another question for you. So when I think about like Avatar, Fire and Ash, and Jurassic World Rebirth and all this stuff, even that Wicked for Good, when I look at, do you think movie visuals are being prioritized over storytelling? Because it seems
absolutely.
Like that's just what it's all about right now. It's just big, splashy, look at this movie, look at the visuals in it, and like, is there a story there? And I think that's the problem I have with Avatar. Like, yeah, it looks good. You have these like big blue people that are all CGI'd and everything, and yeah, it looks good. But at the end of the day, what the hell's the story about? Nobody knows. Nobody remembers. So
yeah, I think the best example of that is the Marvel franchise. They had their big overarching story that took 10 years, and then they had the Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, and that sort of closed that chapter. And then almost all of the Marvel movies that have come after that have sort of put story in the back seat, and they've been like, exactly to your point, look, we can make this character look awesome on the screen, and they do, but there's no story. Or we had 6 different scripts we just smushed together and things don't make sense. Or look who we got to play such and such. Aren't they awesome looking, a best physical condition they've ever been in? But again, without a decent story behind it, you're losing a lot of your fan base. And at least with that sort of first part of the Marvel movies, while originally they came out as independent films, you started to see the threads of how they were connecting to this greater buildup of a bigger story. And then they did 10 movies in a row where they're like, yeah, we have no idea what we're doing. Here are some characters. I hope you enjoyed this. It's like, come on, man. You've got 70 years of comic books to pull from. How can you not make a 2-hour movie that's interesting? Like, you can't tell me you don't have ideas. Go back to the source material. Read the comics. There's so many good ideas there. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
There was a time too back in my day, when actors mattered, star power mattered. Does it still matter now?
No.
Like,
I think it's dollars and cents. It all comes down to how can money be made, and for the most part,
but it used to be that the actors drove that money making. Like, you went to see, Tom Cruise in a movie. You went to see the newest. I remember back in the 80s, like, you would go to see Sylvester Stallone in a movie. And now it seems like audiences just choose what they're going to see based on what IP and hype, pretty much.
Well, and I think in the world of social media, the mystery of your favorite celebrity is no longer a mystery. Like, part of the reason you would go to see these movies based on a performer's name in the 80s and 90s is because you really don't get to see them anywhere else. It's like, oh, Stallone's got a new movie out. I haven't seen or heard anything about him since the last movie, and I'm a fan of his work. I'll go see this. Now it's like, hey, we've got a new, pick someone's name, Pedro Pascal movie coming out. And you're like, well, I follow him on all the socials. He's been making the rounds on the shows. He's been on Everybody and Their Mother's podcasts. He's been in 4 TV shows and 3 movies. It's like, yeah, he could be a big star and a big draw, but there's not a lot of mystery there as far as like, oh, well, this is going to be interesting. We haven't seen this guy in a movie in 3 years. This must be important. He's really like weighted. You just don't see that with performers these days. It's like it very often.
Right. It's like it used to be back in the 80s when if someone was on TV every week, you're like, why would I pay money to go see them in the theater? I see them all the time on TV. Yeah. So the same thing now with social media. Another thing about social media, I wonder, is has it ruined people's ability to judge movies fairly, sort of, before they're released? Because it's always it's all over. So, although I guess in some ways it's kind of like it was, back in the old days with movie critics, you'd read, movie reviews, and then maybe that would skew your mind a bit going into a movie. Like, the critics all say it sucks. Like Siskel and Ebert don't like this movie, so they both give it thumbs down. It's gonna suck. But I think like now more than ever, social media influences that, right?
Well, but I think back in our day, if Siskel and Ebert reviewed it, I had confidence that they had actually seen it. And now I think a lot of people just write sensationalized articles or post stuff having not seen it, or just, oh, everybody else says this, I'm going to say that. And I don't have any faith when I see a review from someone that they've actually seen the movie or given it any critical thought. Or it's like, oh, this movie sucked. It's like, well, did you understand that this was a metaphor for something else? Like, it's that kind of thing, assuming it's a movie that's actually deep enough to have that. It's not just a shoot 'em up special effects kind of movie. And I think that with if anybody can post anything online, and they certainly do, it's hard to find an honest narrative that you can put your faith in. It takes work to find critics that you believe have seen the movies and are reviewing it honestly and fairly, and that have a sense of taste that you agree with to a point where, like, I have a couple podcasts I listen to, and it's like, I generally like the same kind of movies they like. So when they give me a review and say this movie was fantastic, I'm more inclined to go, because traditionally these critics have liked the same movies I do. Or if they say it's garbage, I'm less likely. But I mean, it took me a while to really sift through the masses to find some critics and to find some shows that I felt spoke to me in a way that I was getting an appreciation for what I was about to walk into. And I just don't think that most people want to spend that kind of time. They just, people can post whatever they want. And it's like, oh, look, everybody said it sucked, I'm not going. Yeah, but none of those people saw the movie. How do they know? Oh, it stars so-and-so that we don't like. Did you see the movie, or are you just criticizing it because you don't like the performer for some arbitrary reason? So yeah, it's a real mystery these days.
I'm going to give you a loaded question. I'm going to put you on the spot. If you could take one movie from 2025 that you could like delete from existence, wipe it away, what would it be? And what would be the one movie that you would force everyone to watch? I'll go first if you want, just to give you time to think about it. The movie I would delete from existence was Happy Gilmore 2. You had told me, like, oh, you got to watch this movie, like it's kind of nostalgic and stuff. I put it on. It was absolute garbage. Garbage. I would delete that movie from ever existing. One I would want everyone to watch. I don't know if I can answer this question now that I think about it, because I haven't seen a lot of movies from last year. But the one that keeps coming back to me that I really want to see, and everyone is telling me I need to watch, including you, is this Sinners. So I feel like I need to watch that movie. So maybe that would be it, even though I haven't watched it myself. I might force everyone to watch that one. But if you could take one movie and just be like, just get rid of it from last year, and one that you would insist that everyone watch, what would those two movies be?
You know what? I honestly, I watch so much garbage on the streamers. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that I could easily say, you know, don't waste your time, money, energy to watch, but none of them are coming to mind. Like there was none that I remember watching thinking, wow, that was just awful.
Like you turned it off sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the ones like I'm thinking of a few movies that I maybe didn't love, but I can sort of understand from like an artsy point of view of like, well, this was an experiment in cinematography or something where you're like, well, you know, certain people are going to be into that kind of thing. But I'm just called up a list of movies here. Actually, here's a good one. The Naked Gun remake with Leslie Nielsen. It was interesting. It was awful. Yeah. And that one, I would say, if that could be erased, like,
why bother making the dumb thing? Oh,
yeah, was not one that really jumped out to me.
But is there one movie that if you had to go back, like 2025, this one movie you gotta watch, you gotta see this one movie? What do you think it would be?
Oh, I don't know. Nothing. Again, I'm not. I think anything that I would suggest is probably already a movie that's big, like. You know, the last Mission Impossible movie, F1, Sinners, like Sinners, these were all great movies that people who want to see that kind of movie have probably already seen. They all did fairly well, both at the box office and critically. Again, nothing's really jumping out at as something that people might have missed.
That's fine. Before we move on to like another topic, do you have any Oscar predictions from last year? What do you think?
Oh, geez.
You usually I would have lots of opinions on this, like a movie that you think that definitely should be in the running for Best Picture, or is there a certain performance that you're like, oh, that person should be up for Best Oscar or Best Actor or whatever?
Again, like I mentioned earlier, I looked at the list of Golden Globe nominees and I didn't even recognize most of the movies. And some of the performers, while I knew their names, I'm like, I didn't even know they were doing something this year. So, yeah, this is not a good year for me to make those kinds of predictions simply because I'm not familiar with the field. I mean, I know that The Wicked for Good and Sinners are probably both going to get nominated simply because they were both very popular and they have a very strong fan base behind them. And at least I can't speak for Wicked because I haven't seen it and have no desire to see it. But at least for Sinners, it was strong performances. The music was fantastic. The cinematography was great. The story, like from a script point of view, the direction was good. Like it sort of checks off a lot of the boxes. It's not just one of these ones where it's going to be all the below the line special effects or just the top of the line performance. It's like it's going to check many of those categories. So I'm sure it'll be one of the more nominated films from the quantity. But do I think it'll win those awards? I have no idea. I mean, I hope it has a chance at some of them, but honestly, I don't know what it's up against, so I'm not really in a position to say.
Let's talk about some TV from 2025. Some things that stood out last year. Stranger Things did season 5. That was a big deal. Andor season 2 seemed to be a big deal. Severance came out with their second season last year. That was a big deal. My wife likes the show Love is Blind, this reality show. I think it sucks. But The White Lotus season 3 was big too, and I actually watched that one. This might surprise you. I actually watched a couple of different shows last year. So I watched, in addition to White Lotus season 3, which I thought was quite good, Department Q, my wife and I watched.
Yep. Yeah, we watched that one.
That was pretty good. I didn't think it was good as it was hyped to be, but I thought it was okay. We just wrapped up watching The Beast in Me. It was with Claire Danes. It was okay.
Oh, I've been hearing good things.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, just okay.
We watched Paradise. I heard so much about Paradise. I was like, I want to watch this. I did not like it at all.
What's it about?
It's like a dystopian future, and like they all have to go underground and hide and all this. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. And we just started watching Pluribus because I heard so much about it. I actually like it. I think it's very interesting, but my wife thinks it's too slow. which I understand. And the last show I want to mention that I started watching last year, and we're just kind of sort of getting up to speed because I think it's in its third season, and we were just watching the first 2 seasons, was Hacks. Have you heard of that show?
Yeah, my mom loves it.
So it's an old person show, apparently.
Well,
I thought it was quite good.
It's a critical darling. It's been winning all the awards. I heard it's very good.
It's actually really good. I really enjoy it. So are there any TV seasons or shows that stand out to you from last year before I
No, I mean, you hit almost all the ones on my list. I was going to mention that Pluribus. Not that I've seen it, but I know it was created by Vince Gilligan, who did Breaking Bad. So I know it's been very well received critically, and I think it's on a streamer I don't get. Yeah, it says here it's on Apple TV, which I don't have.
Yeah.
Severance, another one I haven't seen. It's on Apple TV, which I don't have. And the only other one I want to mention is the show The Pit, the medical drama with Noah Wyle.
Yeah.
It's basically 24, but in a hospital. It takes place in real time. I watched the first couple episodes and just could not get into it. And believe me, I like me a good medical drama, and I'm a fan of Noah Wyle, but there was just too much about the show that I didn't care for, so I had to turn it off. But all my friends are telling me to give it another try. It won a bunch of awards, and it's been picked up for season 2. So again, I need to acknowledge that it is very popular and very successful. It just wasn't for me. But you can't talk about the year in review and not mention it. So.
Right. So I'm, again, as an old guy, I have a different perspective watching, TV nowadays. I've noticed there's a real shift, and this isn't just 2025, just sort of in general. There's a real shift to having much shorter seasons of TV shows. Like having a season now with 8 episodes is totally normal. Back in my day, the TV season went from September until June, and it was usually made up of 35 episodes. But now, seasons are so short. And I don't know. I wonder, do you think these short seasons make shows tighter? Well,
they definitely do, and they generally, in my opinion, make them better. When I go back and rewatch, I've gone back to rewatch series that I enjoyed from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and often they're set to, like you said, it's 20, 22, 24, or even as many as 30 episodes in a season, depending on if it's a 1 hour or 30-minute runtime. And so many of the episodes just feel like filler. And when you go back and read some stuff about it, they absolutely are. The people making the shows had no bones about it. They were like, we had a story that was 14 episodes. We had to make 20, and we just jammed stuff in to do 6 filler episodes because everyone was under contract to do it. And it becomes clear that the performers, everyone else, just phoning it in. They're not even trying. And I feel that hurt the entirety of the show, because it's they don't necessarily know which of the episodes are the quote filler episodes, but it's you get to a point where you're like, oh man, this thing's just taking forever. And I found that British TV has always been just short seasons, going back to the 70s and 80s. They never did 20 episode arcs. If they felt the show only needed 8 episodes, that's as long as it was. And I think that with streaming, that's been, they've been given, the people that make these shows have been given a lot more creative freedom to make the show they want with the number of episodes they need. They're not beholden to 44 minutes per episode. If they need an episode to be 50 minutes and the next one needs to be an hour and 5 minutes, that's fine if that's going to tell the story you want to tell. And I think that has improved the serialized storytelling considerably. But then you get the sort of the extremes. We'll use Stranger Things, for example. Some of those episodes, and even Game of Thrones in the last couple seasons, some of the episodes start becoming 90 minutes. You get 6 90-minute episodes. It's well, did they need to be 90 minutes? Couldn't you have made it 9 1-hour episodes? Again,
it's watching a movie. It's a choice every week.
Every week.
And I'm wondering, do audiences now mistake sort of this cinematic TV for good storytelling?
Well, it often is, but I don't think it's a mistake. But I think that's why you see so.
But I don't think it's not mistaken, but I guess mischaracterizing. Our audience is looking at this cinematic TV and oh, this is so great. It's so Game of Thrones really did that. Every episode was like watching a movie, and it's it was so cinematic, and it took forever to make this damn thing. But does that replace good storytelling? Because to me, it doesn't. I'd rather watch 35 episodes of Fonzie, with a character arc in it. That's just me, I'm old.
Oh, I mean, again, you use Game of Thrones as an example, with the exception of the last season. I think that it was a solid show, right? Like it was pulled from the books. It had solid base to work with, and like, it was great. So, and it looked great. And then that was part of the appeal was here's something that you wouldn't get on regular television for so many reasons. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why you see network TV is become, in my opinion, so boring, and it's really just for old people. Like my parents watch a ton of network TV, even though they have access to the streamers, they just choose not to watch it. They would rather watch, the whatever serialized dramas, NCIS and Law and Order and stuff. They want to watch all that. And it's like, I tried watching some of those shows when I'm visiting them, and it's just like, oh my God, these things suck. Like I want something with more, meat on the bone. I want cable. I want streaming. I want something where it's clear the people that are telling the story weren't restricted by what the network wanted them to do, whether you can't say these things, show these things, talk about these themes, or you can't exceed a certain time slot. So I think in the age of the internet, the rules are going out the window. People are just going to tell the story they want to tell the way they want to tell it. And if it's going to make money, if it's good quality, quality will rise to the top, and the money will be made. It's all dollars and cents.
Yeah. And like you said, everything has changed in the way TV is done. But like with everything being, you can just binge watch everything. I have a question. If a show doesn't land with you by, I don't know, 3 episodes in or something, should you just give up on it? Is there like a sort of a threshold that you should give a show? Because a lot of times I'll watch a show, I'll watch a couple episodes, I'm done. I don't like this. And people are like, no, you got to give it a chance. You got to give it a chance. You got to watch all of season 1. And then I'm like, I don't want to watch all of season 1 of crap just so I can maybe get to some good stuff. So again, I'm just the old guy in this. But like, at what point do you give up on a show now? I mean, it's
one
really
episode.
Hard. One episode.
I
really?
literally give it one episode. If I can't watch one episode and feel there's some redeeming quality that makes me want to go on to episode 2, I stop watching. There is so much choice that I don't want to waste 4 hours of my life getting through the first season of a short show or longer, because people are like, well, you got to get to episode 5. I'm like, if it takes me 5 hours to get there, I'm not wasting 5 hours. If the show can't hook me in the first hour, it's not for me. I'm not saying it's not good, but if it can't get me in the first episode, or maybe if it's something that's only 30 minutes, I might give it 2 episodes. But again, when I exercise, I usually watch TV, and I find I'm a captive audience. I am literally not going anywhere for an hour. The show has 1 episode. When I'm done exercising, if that show was garbage, I'm not coming back to it the next day. I'm moving on to the next thing on my list, because there is way too many choices to waste my time on garbage.
I have a question for you too. Now with all of the social media that we have and the interaction between, artists and fans, do you think creators should listen to fans while a show is still airing? And maybe,
in what way?
Like alter a show maybe, or if fans are like, oh, well, we really want you to do this in the show, or we hate this character. Like, do you think creators should listen to fans when they're doing, or just stick to their vision for the show?
The fans paying their guy's paycheck? Because if the answer is no, as we know it is going to be, then no. Right. You trust the creators have been put under contract by a studio to provide some form of entertainment, a season, a movie, or whatever. While the fans may not agree with it, may not understand it, you have to have faith that the people making this show have a plan. And if you watch 2 episodes and go, well, I think the show would be better if this character was with that character, and I'm going to make a lot of noise on the internet to demand that change. Well, you know what? Maybe that show's just not for you. Maybe a better thing is to just go find something else. It's different. I mean, well, maybe not different, but if it's a show where a season has ended and they're like, we're going to come back for season 2. Then if I'm a fan, I'm like, these are some things I would love to see in season 2. Sure. But if I'm the creative person who's behind the show, chances are I have a pretty good idea where I think season 2 should go. Now, do they look online and see what the fans say, see what the fans want? I'm sure the studio is looking at it and saying, well, a lot of the fans want to see this character get killed off. Okay, well, again, you make compromises. If they're like, we're going to give you X number of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars to make this show, but this character needs to get killed off halfway through the season, yeah, I might be able to make that work, but for the most part, I just got to trust that these people know what they're doing.
All right, let's talk a little bit about music. This is going to right in your wheelhouse.
Well, I don't know about that, but okay.
So when I was looking at some songs, Kendrick Lamar had some big hits with like Not Like Us and Luther, and Bad Bunny, Sabrina Carpenter, all huge. There were some big albums, big releases last year from like Cardi B, and even Elton John came out with an album last year. I wonder, again, going back to my day, back in the day, albums were sort of the highest sort of art form in music, you know? And now it almost feels like that's not the case anymore. It's all about, you know, singles. It's like your latest single, you know, and I wonder if artists should keep, you know, forcing albums if singles are what the fans want. I don't know.
An album is expensive and is usually full of filler.
True.
A single is cheap and easy, especially in the internet age. You can distribute a single at almost no cost. Back when we were younger, you had to buy the whole album because that's how you got music. The artist wasn't selling you one song. They were selling you a dozen songs. And if they were good, awesome. If there was only one good song on it, well, that good song cost you whatever the album cost you. Today, it's all about just, like you said, an artist doesn't need to put out a whole album. Now, if I'm an artist, my real money is touring. And you can't tour on just one song. So it's that compromise of, if I have a library behind me that I can tour behind, then if I put out a couple of new singles, you know, I'm on so-and-so featuring me kind of thing, great. It keeps your name relevant, and chances are you're working on an album, and this is a way to sort of keep you relevant. But yeah, I think in today's day and age, artists, it's all about just staying on top, staying in the spotlight, and you know, if you can have your artistic outlet by contributing to someone else's song, even if it's just singing the lyrics that they've written, if you're a performer in that way, great, why not?
I'm glad that you mentioned.
I don't think it's like, oh, this album is, again, big artists are always going to put out albums because then they're going to tour. Like, look at someone like Taylor Swift, right? She put out the Showgirl album, The Life of a Showgirl, and it was like one of the biggest albums of the year, but she's one of the biggest performers out there. And
she made
then she's going to
so
tour
much money off the tour. Like, the tour was everything. You're right. You know, Oasis had a huge tour last year as well. They had this big comeback last year. I mean, I was never the biggest fan of them to begin with, but yeah, they sort of did this reunion last year, and it was like massively big. And they kicked off this tour, and it just made a ton of money. Like, you know, definitely. And another one that stands out to me in terms of touring is Lady Gaga. She came out with that Mayhem Ball tour. I actually went to see it in Toronto. I took my wife down. It was something else. Man, oh man, these performers, it's not like the old days when you and I would go to a concert, you know, and like, you know, I don't know, Kim Mitchell would come out and like with his band and just play songs. No, Lady Gaga came out and put on a whole theatrical freaking show. Like, it was just crazy. But man, she was successful last year. She had the most streamed song of 2025 with a song called Die With a Smile. Like, it's crazy. And one of the biggest songs of the year right around the world by a female artist, especially, was Abracadabra that she had. And she had this unbelievably successful tour with the Mayhem Ball. Like, what a killer year it was for her. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I thought she was just outstanding. But, and she was up for what, like 8 Grammys or something like that? Like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if you're a big fan of her or not, but I was not a big fan going into it. I did it for my wife, but going there to see her perform, I was shocked at how amazingly talented she is. She's so good. Holy smokes. But yeah, anything else from music from last year before we get on to some people that we lost, which is always an interesting thing?
No, not really. Again, like I said at the top, I'm not really up to speed on you know, the current music scene. It's you know, I recognize and know some of the biggest artists. Honestly, you know where I actually can keep up with a lot of this is I watch Saturday Night Live. And while they usually have a good mix of like big artists who are well established, but they also do a good job of bringing on musical guests that are on the rise. And I find anytime they bring on a performer I've never heard of, I usually do a little bit of homework and look them up and listen to a couple of their songs. And even if it's not like the kind of music that I am into, I always find that if they're big enough that they get invited to perform on Saturday Night Live, then they usually have something worth listening to. And I give it a shot, whether it's a country artist or a rap artist or dance music or rock music or whatever. I give it a chance, and I found that I've actually discovered some of the newer artists, at least so that I, when they're like, oh, well, do you know about blah, blah, blah? And I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, I watched them perform on Saturday Night Live. Okay, I know who you're talking about. I mean, I find that has been very helpful. But other than that, no, I don't really have anything else to add as far as the music from last year.
We usually like to kind of end our year in review with some of the people that we lost last year. I was going through the list. There was a lot of famous people that died last year. Like,
yeah, no kidding.
Unbelievable list. So I didn't know how to really organize this. So I just kind of went back and just started looking at the beginning of the year and kind of going chronologically. So, and then you can jump in at any time with a whole bunch as well. But when I go back,
why don't you let me start then, Chris?
Sure. Yeah.
I've got a couple of the, again, I've got them sort of grouped into some categories.
Oh, that would help.
Let me talk a little bit about my categories, and then that way you can sort of dance around them.
Sure.
So I want to just, and again, I'm sure we'll have a little bit of overlap, and that's fine. I don't think we need to stop and dwell on any one for a long time. So some of the biggest names we talked about in the moment when they passed, we did. True. We talked about them. If they were performers, we often reviewed their movies. So for example, Rob Reiner, Robert Redford, Val Kilmer, Gene Hackman, all passed away this year, all major stars, very well known, very popular for a long, long time, huge bodies of work. And for all of them, we revisited some of their movies when they passed this year. So again, I don't think we necessarily need to go over that right here, right now, other than to acknowledge again that they passed last year, RIP.
Right.
But that being said, I want to talk about music. So there was there was a lot of musicians that passed last year, but there was a few that stood out to me as being groundbreaking in different ways. And again, I think deserve acknowledgement. The number one being Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne changed rock music, heavy metal music in a way that no other artist ever did and probably ever could, and was around for 40, 50 years on the music scene and continued to be relevant right up until he died with things like the Ozfest and just the influence that he had and the reach that he had as a musician, as an entertainer, as a personality.
He performed his farewell concert with Black Sabbath 2 weeks before he died. Talk about being relevant right up to the last minute. Amazing.
So you have Ozzy on the rock side. Then you have someone like Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Yes.
Again, a different generation, a very different kind of music, but again, very influential in the moment to change music in the 60s. And again, we won't go into it because that's a little before the time that we generally cover on our show. Another one, again, a complete left turn, Sly Stone.
Yes.
Funk and bringing that kind of music to the mainstream in a way that hadn't been done before. A revolutionary, he again, part of a movement of music to expose a different style of music to people who had never heard it before and influencing a generation. And then another complete left turn, Chuck Mangione.
Yes.
The jazz performer. Yep. Award-winning. Again, passed. So all four of these performers, Ozzy, Brian Wilson, Sly Stone, and Chuck Mangione, all passed last year. All great musical giants in their specific genre, all incredibly influential to the people that are into that kind of music. We lost all of them in a calendar year. That's ridiculous.
Another one, too, another musician was Ace Frehley died last year.
Yes.
Guitar player for
Kiss.
Yeah. So there was a lot of music.
There were many others. Again, we don't have time to run down the whole list, but those were sort of the big names that jumped out at me.
Yeah. Oh, I've got all kinds. Like I say, if I go back to the beginning of the year, Bob Uecker died back in January. And you think of him, he was a baseball player and stuff, but he made that transition into radio broadcasting, but also into TV show and movies.
And movies.
Yeah. Like Major League and stuff like that.
Richard and Mr. Belvedere?
Yeah, of course. Richard Chamberlain died as well. He was in things like the Thornbirds and Shogun. You know how much I love game shows. Wink Martindale.
I have him too. Wink Martindale. I didn't realize he was still alive until last year.
91 years old. He died back in April. when we talk about the little song that I did at the beginning of the show, I mentioned Cheers and Norm, and George Wendt died.
Yeah.
Back in May.
forgot about that. I found him on the list. Yeah.
You know, and another TV person from, this is before the 70s, Loretta Swit from MASH. She passed away. I want to mention a little shout out, David Kaff. You probably don't know who that is. He was the keyboardist Viv Savage in This Is Spinal Tap. Remember, he was the keyboardist. He's like, oh yeah, I've got two hands. I can play that part for you.
Okay.
He died last year at 79 years old. Unlike the drummers, he didn't design. You know, he wouldn't die in like a bizarre gardening accident or anything like that. But Terrence Stamp died last year.
Yeah, the great Terrence Stamp. I really like Terrence Stamp. He was I mean, he had a lot of memorable roles. I mean, most people of our generation probably know him best as Zod from the Superman films, but he was in a lot of I want to say art movies, but that doesn't really do it. You know what I mean? Like independent movies. That's probably a better way to go. I found in the 90s and the early 2000s, you would see him in like these off the wall kind of movies, but he would bring like this class and this gravitas and this just incredible ability to perform to any of the roles, whether he's playing a badass or you know, someone or you know, what's the opposite of a badass? I don't know, whatever. But like, for example, he was in The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah, we watched that on
a transgender person, and it's like,
so good.
This is Terrence Stamp. This is Zod, and now he's playing a man who has transitioned into a woman. It's like, and the role is great, and it's like. And then in later years, he did a lot of voice work as well. I mean, he's got such a commanding voice. He did, and he did a lot of stuff. Again, I don't think he had done a lot of work later in his life, but he left behind a huge body of work.
Absolutely, Canadian native actor Graham Greene. He passed away this year. I got to mention Polly Holiday. You know, she was Flo on Alice, mentioned in my song at the beginning of the show as well. She died in September. Gilles Girard died last year. He was Buck Rogers.
R.I.P. Buck Rogers.
You know? Another one, you know, from my childhood, WKRP in Cincinnati's Lonnie Anderson died last year. You know, like that was something, you know, that was a big deal for me. And
let me jump in.
Yeah.
So one of the other categories I got here, a couple of big names in sports died.
Okay. Yeah.
But not traditional sports today. George Foreman, the boxer.
Yes.
Passed away. And Hulk Hogan, arguably the most famous wrestler ever.
Absolutely.
Also passed away last year.
Yeah.
I forgot Hulk Hogan was dead until I saw him on the list. I was like, wow. And here's one out of left field that most people don't know and probably honestly don't care about. Jim Shooter. And you're like, who the hell is Jim Shooter? Jim Shooter was the editor of Marvel Comics in the 1980s. Okay. Well, why is that important? So in the 1980s, Marvel Comics and DC Comics were constantly fighting for supremacy. And Jim Shooter was the force behind a decision that Marvel Comics made to put out what is now a very popular concept of a limited series. So up until then, up until the 80s, you had like your ongoing comic books, the Avengers and Iron Man and Spider-Man. And like these were comics that had been going for years, 15, 20 years at this point. And Marvel decided that wouldn't it be interesting if we just did a shorter story, 4 issues or 8 issues or 12 issues. And so they did this because DC had done it first. And Marvel's like, crap, that's a great idea. We should do this. And so to compete with DC, Marvel did the same thing. They were like, we're going to do our first one. It's going to be 12 issues and it's going to feature all of our most popular characters. And then we're going to license it so that we can make toys. And their desire was to make money off the toys. They honestly didn't give a crap about the comic book series, but they're like, since it features all of our most popular characters, we can license all of them for toys. And while the toy line didn't really work that way, well, the series was called Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. And if you are a comic book person, the Secret Wars comic book limited series is arguably one of the most important Marvel stories that they've ever done in their entire run. And it changed Marvel Comics and it opened up the doors for a lot of things. The licensing of the toys ultimately opened the door for the licensing of movies as well. And Jim Shooter, who was the editor at the time, so much of all of this was because either of his ideas or his ability to see the potential in the abilities of the other people that were at Marvel at the time. And he was confident enough to say, we're doing this. So R.I.P. Jim Shooter for transforming Marvel Comics and arguably transforming pop culture, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the biggest thing that came into movies in the last 10 to 15 years.
That's awesome. I just want to mention two more quick ones, and then we'll go. Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show died last year.
Yep.
He was only 54 years old. He was on vacation with his family in Costa Rica and died swimming out in the ocean. So that was pretty tragic. And then the last one I want to mention, because we've already mentioned some of the big ones with Rob Reiner and all that sort of thing. We've talked about that. I want to mention Diane Keaton. Because
I was going to say, yeah.
She got started on Broadway. She was in Hair in 1968. And then shortly after that, she was in The Godfather. And then, kind of went from there. And then obviously did Annie Hall, which was, just huge. Jack Nicholson once said of her, he said that she approaches a movie script like it's like a play, because she would memorize the entire script before you even started doing the movie, which is what you would do in a play. Like, I mean, I've done theater plays before, and when I was an actor years ago, and you as an actor had to memorize the whole play. Like, you had the whole thing memorized backward and forward, so you knew the whole thing. She would do the same thing when she did movies. And like Jack Nicholson said, nobody does that. Like, that's crazy. But one thing is, when I was going through all this, and like I like Diane Keaton, I thought she was great. I really enjoyed Annie Hall. The thing I never realized that I learned was that her real name wasn't Diane Keaton. It was Diane Hall. And her nickname was Annie. And that's where Woody Allen got the name for Annie Hall from. That's actually her real name. Annie Hall. It's like,
didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. So just wanted to share that with everybody. All right. So what do you say that we wrap things up? That's sort of the look back on 2025. I think we covered all kinds of stuff, and we're pretty happy with that. So what do you say that we move on now and have some
Fun with Caveman.
All right, my man, I'm going to keep things simple for you. Okay. I'm just going to do 2025, the year in trivia. Okay.
Oh boy.
You're going to do so well. I know you're going to do well. It's going to be easy. We'll start with some easy ones. We'll work our way up, but trust me, you're going to get them all, I'm sure. Okay. Heated Rivalry. It's a romance, TV show about two professional athletes that play in what sport?
Oh, I know this one. They play hockey.
Yes. There you go. All right, it's a Canadian show too. Super
Apparently
popular.
it's based on a book, someone told me, or a book series.
Really
like,
popular. Okay,
Yes.
Derek, what movie had audiences screaming and throwing things and jumping out of their seats when a character said "chicken jockey"?
Oh, that had to be the Minecraft movie.
Yes, it was. Very good. In the news, you might have noticed this or on social media that a married CEO and an HR executive, both of whom worked at a company called Astronomer, they got caught acting guilty on the kiss cam during a concert for what artist?
That was Coldplay.
Yes, it was. See, you're doing so well. Oh, here's a tough one for you. It's a TV one. Derek, in 2025, who won Dancing with the Stars?
Chris McBride.
There's no way I'm winning Dancing with the Stars. But it was Robert Irwin, Steve Irwin's son, proving once again that Dancing with the Stars involves neither dancing nor stars. So go figure. What Netflix movie released in 2025 became the most watched film of all time on that platform?
Oh, it's got to be the K-pop Demon Hunters.
It was. Yeah. Okay, what clothing company featured a very controversial ad campaign with Sydney Sweeney titled "Sydney Sweeney Has Great Jeans"?
Oh my God. It was a jean company. Yeah. It was it Guess Jeans?
Oh, no. It was American Eagle. American Eagle.
No. I said I'm going to guess it's jeans, and then I was about to say American Eagle. You cut me off. I get that one. That's a point for me.
Oh, you get that one? Oh, sorry. There you go. I thought you said it was Guess Jeans, and I'm like, no, I think Guess
might have,
makes.
but
like,
you'd have to roll back the tape to be sure.
Yeah, right. I'll give you that one. It's fine. But yeah, she was something else in that. The only thing with what I have with, I just want to jump in if I could for a second and just give my comment on Sydney Sweeney. She's gorgeous. Like, but you know the thing I find with her, I feel like she has dead eyes. Does that make sense to you? I don't know. I look at her, she looks like, I don't know.
I don't usually get to her eyes, but yeah. Okay.
Her eyes are up here. If you actually look up and look at her eyes, you'll notice she's got dead eyes, like a doll's eyes. I don't know. She's something about her.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. What artist won the coveted Album of the Year Grammy in the 2025 Grammys?
I'm going to guess Beyonce.
Oh, very good guess.
Nice. I read something about Beyonce winning a Grammy for the first time. I was like, it must be a big one if it made the headlines. Yeah.
I guess years ago, what was it? What was it? When Taylor Swift won. And I remember, what's his face? Kanye West went up there. Oh, Beyonce had the best thing. I'm going to let you finish. But Beyonce was the best. You know, he's been calling it for years, that guy. Okay. Oasis, we mentioned earlier. They went on this reunion tour around the world. They played 41 shows to almost 3 million people. What song did they always end their show with in 2025?
It's funny. I could actually, they performed not far from my house, and I heard half of the set one night when I was outside. I got to think it would be Wonderwall. Got to be Wonderwall. Or Champagne Supernova.
It was Champagne Supernova.
Champagne Supernova.
That was the last one. Okay. Last year, Quentin Tarantino called Paul Dano weak sauce for his performance in which film? Caused quite a controversy in Hollywood. Tarantino said Paul Dano was weak sauce.
I don't know who Paul Dano is.
Oh, you don't know? Oh, man. It was his performance in There Will Be Blood that Quentin Tarantino said he was. Paul Dano is the guy. He was in, he was like, remember in There Will Be Blood, there were the two brothers that were twins? He played them.
Oh, yeah.
He was also in Little Miss Sunshine. He was like the mute guy, and he was in Prisoners as well. So Tarantino doesn't think much of him as an actor, apparently. Okay, which rapper is widely credited or blamed, I would say, for starting the 6'7" meme?
I have no idea. Diddy.
No. You don't have kids. I have kids, and my 13-year-old, that's all he talks about. 6'7". 6'7".
I've heard of it. I just don't know how it started.
2025 will forever be known as the 6'7". So every time that he mentions 6'7", I do the thing with the hands, and he's like, "Dad, stop! You're cringy." But
what was the answer?
The rapper was Skrilla.
Okay.
Whoever the hell that is. Okay, the last one I got for you, Mark Maron. You know, he does a podcast, or he did a podcast, WTF, and he ended it after 1,686 episodes last year in October.
We got a long way to go to catch that guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're not there yet. So Derek, last year, Mark Maron ended his podcast. Who is his final guest? Do you know?
Oh, geez. I have no idea. President Obama.
Oh, what did you just say? Sorry, say that
President
again.
Obama. Oh, my God.
You are correct.
I know he's a political guy. I'm like, it had to be a politician.
Barack Obama was right. Our producer was so sure you were going to get it wrong. He just jumped in and X'd you.
Pulled that one right out of my butt.
Yeah, nice going. So our producer X'd you on that one and X'd you on the guest jeans ones, even though that one is, we got to go back and listen to that one. I don't know. Okay. So that wraps things up for 2025. You did pretty good on the trivia. Next time that we come back, we're going to do a topic. We'll figure out what that's going to be before we, come back and do that. That's all good. But other than that, I guess it's time to wrap things up. So I'll tell you what, until next time, I'm Chris McBrien. That's Derek Byers. And we both want to say thanks for taking the time to listen to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.